back everyone to another installment of the Cinema Bazaar. This is my tribute to more strange, bizarre, obviously, art house, a little more quirky horror films. As I said before, I have a very panoramic, broad, liberal sense of what is a horror film, what I classify as a horror film. For instance, Asian films like Old Boy, Itchy the Killer, stuff like that. I consider those horror films. There's many different ways to tell and convey a horror story, and hopefully, this segment will get people to maybe broaden their horror horizons, look into some films and directors that maybe you would have never thought to before or were unfamiliar with and know about. So, and I'll try to keep it to a bit more obscure people. Obviously, I won't concentrate on any of the classics like directors like David Lynch, Andrzej Zulawski, more modern guys like Jasper Noe and Karim Hussein, people like that who most of you probably already are familiar with. So try to keep it a little more, not directors and films that aren't quite as noticed or known by some people. I did, first time we did this, did the films of the Quay brothers and their dark animation. So this one I will do, focus on the director who I feel doesn't get talked about too much. Honestly, I'm sure there are people out there in the community that have talked about him. The only one, as far as that I watched, that I've ever seen mention this director was, I think last year sometime, Tyler from The Good, the Bad, and the Unusual did a segment about the box sets of this director that a particular company put out. Other than that, I really haven't heard too much people talk about him. I think he's a fantastic director. That director is Polish director Andrzej Zulawski. So I'm just going to go through his films that I have. I don't have all his work, but I'll go through what I have, tell you a little bit about him, tell you why I like him. I'm not going to get into what I feel the meanings of his films are. They're very, obviously, abstract and surreal somewhat, and if I start getting into what I feel they mean, it's just much like I didn't bother doing with the Quay brothers. It's just probably a waste of time. I tend to ramble enough anyway, and I'm sure some art house elitist will comment and tell me how wrong I am and stuff. But so we'll start right off the bat with his first film. This is the third part of The Night. This was put out. This particular DVD is put out by Second Run, which is a really good European company, I believe British company, that puts out lots of cool abstract stuff and different stuff. And they're a really cool company. You get a booklet with all their films. I have a handful of releases by them. Really nice company. Good bonus features. Good transfers. Anyway, this was his debut film, and it's kind of like, in some ways, it's partially about his father, and it's about a man, Michael, in the film, that during the Nazi occupation of Poland during the war, there was a group of people that they called them lice feeders, and that's what his father did during that time. If you're lucky enough to get this job as a lice feeder, basically the Nazis wouldn't, for the most part, fuck with you. What the job was, basically, it's pretty crazy. They put lice, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 of them, 50 of them, in this little capsule, and they'd attach it to the base of your leg, behind your leg, and they basically just feed on you. They suck your blood, and then they would take the hospitals would take the blood, and they basically were working on some antibiotics for the disease typhus. So that's what they were using. So you're pretty lucky if you're able to get that job, which his father did. And there's kind of a great interview with Zulawski on the bonus feature of this film. Pretty poignant interview where he says, basically if it wasn't for the lice, his films would have never been made because his father would have been killed probably, and obviously he would have never been born. So really cool interview. He actually makes a rather interesting comment about director Terrence Malick, which I found quite interesting. But anyway, back to the movie. So it's about Michael and his wife Helena and his son Lucas. And a really cool film starts with scripture from Revelation, and then it shows Michael's family getting killed by the soldiers. Really pretty cool, intense scene. And he goes on with his life, showing how he has some guilt about what happened. He was unable to protect his family. He ends up getting a job as a lice feeder, and he meets a woman who looks just like his wife Helena, who was killed, played by the same actress, so a double role, which is I think is always cool. And that particular actress, that's her on the cover, really beautiful actress. She kind of reminds me of the actress, I'm gonna forget her name, The actress from, she was in all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I'm sorry, her name escapes me right now. Kind of looks like her. Anyway, she was actually romantically involved with Zulawski for a while. Really great actress. She's in another film that I'll show you. And he meets her, and she looks just like his wife, and he's just confused, and he starts seeing visions of his son here and there, and it's a really cool film. I call it kind of a dark, I guess, dark drama, but it definitely has elements of horror mixed in, kind of a horror ending to me. Really great film, really great cinematography. Performances in all his films are fantastic. You know, it's about love, of course, the war, religion, family, just a lot of great themes, and a nice preview of what was to come, prelude of what was to come in Zulawski's career. A great way to start, introduce yourself. Not maybe his, for lack of a better word, his most tame film, but still has starts to preview some of those elements that would end up being in his future films. Fantastic film. Great interview with him on the bonus features. The third part of the night. The next one is The Devil. Absolutely crazy. This is when it gets his films pushed into full force. This is from 1972. Visually fantastic, dark, about a guy who's in basically in a war prison, and he gets rescued by this priest. Actually, it'd be a monk, and the guy who plays the monk is just, man, I believe his name is Jacob. No, Jacob is, I believe, the actual soldier that gets rescued. I forget the name of the guy who rescues him. Crazy performances by the actors, which is kind of a common theme in Zulawski's films. His films are so energetic, and this is a perfect example of that. Just from start to finish, I'm just completely engrossed in his films, each one. And it's just the energy is non-stop. It's chaotic, it's frenetic. The pacing is just completely intense and extreme throughout. And it's about basically Jacob. He gets out of the prison and he's trying to find his family and what has happened to his family while he's at the war, while he's been in the war. And this monk or bishop, whatever he is trying. You almost, it's kind of insinuated that maybe he's just a figment of Jacob's imagination. He kind of appears here and there, so you don't know if he's real or not. And his conscience, and this monk kind of makes him do things that he doesn't want to do, and he ends up basically losing it after he meets like his family. His father is dead. His girlfriend, who is now married to a rich nobleman, and that was played by I don't know her name, but played by the actress from Third Part of the Night. Amazing performance by her. Everyone involved, the cast in these films are so great. Their performances are amazing, and he basically slowly loses it. Very surreal film. A lot of extreme individual scenes. I just enjoyed this film so much. A lot of great imagery. Some religious imagery as usual, which is kind of a common theme as well in his work. Great ending, and yeah, he just slowly loses it. He starts the monk starts telling him to kill people, and it's just fantastic. Great release. This is by the Polar release company that put this out. Next one, this is On the Silver Globe, which this is also released by Polar. This is kind of infamous for anyone who is familiar with Zulawski's films. This, unfortunately, funding was stopped by the Polish Ministry of Culture. It's called. They forced the stopping of production on this film, unfortunately, before it was completed. That understandably really frustrated Zulawski. He then left Poland and moved to, I forget where he moved to, somewhere in Europe, and it never got fully completed, which is a real shame. This is call this kind of surreal sci-fi horror film. Basically about, I'm trying to see how they describe it as far as what, yeah, basically a colony is started on the moon, and people start dying off, and then children basically take over, and there's a lot of course, political commentary, social commentary, religious commentary. Really cool film, surreal film. Some great imagery in this film. It's very dark. It's really creepy. The overall vibe and atmosphere is very creepy. Just an absolute delight to watch this visually. Again, I wish that The film is obviously not in best shape. It was kind of pieced together in this particular release. In the parts that were missing, that they were unable to complete, it's kind of odd. It'll cut to different screens, some like random footage, stock footage with maybe like some trees or the sky, and it'll be, I believe they got Zulawski to narrate over that, kind of introducing the next scene, trying to piece the continuity together of the scenes that they were unable to complete. So probably sounds very odd. It is, but because this film's kind of very surreal anyway and strange, it honestly kind of adds to it. I think it's kind of cool, as weird as it sounds. If this was a more normal film, it would be completely disastrous, but it surprisingly works with it, with how crazy this is. Great individual imagery. You can see something on there. Check out the trailer for this. I believe there's a trailer for this on YouTube. There's a particular great scene where I'll just say it reminds me of the infamous scene in Cannibal Holocaust, where the girl's like on the stake and it's going through her. It's kind of a scene like that, but on a much more grand level. Awesome flick, sci-fi horror. A damn shame that this didn't, unfortunately, because of the government in Poland, was unable to get made the way it was supposed to and completed. But a must-have. And we'll take a quick break because I'm running out of time, and I'll show you the rest of the films. And next up, guys, is his film from 1981. Probably, at least within the horror community, this would be his most well-known film. That is Possession. This is the now out-of-print Anchor Bay release. This was the first Zulawski film that I had seen. Absolutely love it. Stars Sam Neill and Isabella Gianni. Also has creature effects, as they call them, by Carlo Rambaldi, who worked on E.T. and Alien. So awesome effects in this film. About a couple having some problems, marital problems. They have a young boy as well, and basically Sam Neill is a businessman who's always away on work. Realizes that basically she's having an affair with a rather interesting character, but he, of course, goes off on the deep end a little bit, very pissed off. Even though they have marital problems, it's funny that I think after he sees the revelation that she's having an affair, I think he wants to patch things up, make things work, particularly for their son, try to rekindle the passion they had in their past. She wants no part of that, which frustrates Sam Neill's character. And man, things just escalate in a hurry in this film. Her character just completely goes wild, destructive, and funny thing is, during this many crazy scenes, he's just trying to hold things together, Sam Neill's character, and he's trying to continually try to make things work with her, even though she wants no part of it. He's trying, as they have some crazy fights within their apartment, all the while their young boy is watching, and he's trying to take him to school and pick him up from school, and just trying to, keep life as normal as possible. He starts to slowly lose it, and it's just a fantastic dissension into madness with these two characters. The funny thing is, I don't know, I find Sam Neill's character very likable. I even find Isabella Gianni's character very likable as well, in that she's just, their marriage spun out of control, and she's just, I don't know, in a strange way, you just feel for both of them, as crazy as they act. And the man that she's having an affair with, the guy who plays that character, does a fantastic job. He's really, really out there, and kind of, I don't know, he's an intellectual, but his scenes are just so entertaining. And she eventually is pregnant, and I'll just leave it at that. We'll say things just get really crazy toward the end of this film. This film, like all of Zulawski's films, as I said, it is non-stop. If you hate slow burn films, then you'll love his work, because there's just no slow in there. It's all burn. And yeah, no difference with this one. Great performances, again, which is a common theme in all of his films. The performances that he gets out of his actors is phenomenal. Particularly the female characters. In every film, there is a strong female lead whose performances are just completely out there, outrageous, intense, and just a joy to watch. And Isabella is so great in this. And a lot of the women he gets to in his films are really sexy, attractive women. And it's cool to see. It doesn't happen like this with American actresses. Not all of them, but to see a beautiful woman act so in parts that are so just intense and extreme is just awesome. And it's so great that he's able to get that out of his actors. Again, there's a great creature at the end of this movie. It's funny, in an interview I saw with him, he actually Zulawski doesn't consider this film a horror film, which is just preposterous. I mean, he almost says it in a very condescending way, which I just find very funny. He's always interesting to watch in interviews. Really, really cool guy and kind of out there, as you would expect. But yeah, kind of funny that he doesn't consider this a horror film. This is his most literal, pure horror film of the catalog that I think all of you for sure would enjoy if you haven't seen this yet. You may have already, because like I said, this is his most known work. Really cool release by Anchor Bay. Great ending. A lot of metaphors, of course. I know that's what he was talking about when Zulawski says, you know, people taking it too literal. I understand there's lots of metaphors in this film that are pretty easy to understand, but it's a fucking horror film. Check it out, Possession, fantastic. Sam Neill, love him in this role, and Isabella Gianni. One scene in particular where she's in you know, lower level of the subway, and I'll leave it at that. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Great, twisted, disgusting scene, and her performance is just amazing. It's an awesome film. I believe this one is 1984. This is Limp It Love, or The Idiots, or L'amour Brock is the proper title, but it's I believe loosely based on a Russian novel, and it's about these three characters. They say the whore, the gangster, and the Prince of Idiots, and it's a character-driven film. But I think this is one of those films I didn't know too much about it going in, as opposed to the other ones, and I think that's good. It's better for this film. It's focused on the three characters. It's about twisted relationships, love, violence. I mean, it's actually a very humorous film, and it's just crazy, outrageous. It's a lot of fun to watch, though. This film from start, like all his films from start to finish, you're just completely engrossed in it. I don't want to leave the room. I don't want to take a piss. I'm just completely engrossed in this film. I find this his most humorous film, to me anyway. This is the, you know, this awesome box set by Monovision's film company. Tyler from Good, Bad, Unusual did a full video on these box sets. Check it out. They're awesome. They come with booklets. This is like materials felt. I have a few of these. They're awesome releases, and they're supposed to put out actually Possession in a box set like this hopefully soon. Hopefully they do all his films. Next one, this is probably my favorite of his work, and this is a later film. This is, what year is this? 1996. This is Shamanka, which is Shaman. I actually have two releases of this, both by that company Monovision. This is like a really cool deluxe digipack here, really cool artwork. And then you have the deluxe box set. And I just love the film so much. I just love both of these releases. I'd like to get actually all these digipacks as well that come with the booklets, and just really cool. I wanted both of them. So, and it's about a archaeologist professor who they uncover a shaman. They're doing research on it in the university, and this guy meets this young student, and basically they begin to have a very sexually driven relationship, which is on full display throughout the whole movie. And the actress that they get, once again, a strong female lead. The actress that they got to play her, I'm sorry, I'm not going to even bother trying with these women's names. He was looking for the character. This is another anecdote you find out in some great interviews and all these releases with Zulawski. And he says he was kind of, you know, he had a lot of auditions with a lot of, you know, Polish actresses and whatnot, and he was kind of getting frustrated. He didn't find the person yet, and he was in this kind of this little coffee shop or whatever, and this woman walks in the door, and he looked at her and just immediately thought, that's my character, that's my lead. I don't believe she had any acting training at all. Talked to her, she ended up in the film. The funny thing is, it's kind of infamous for anyone who knows about this film, that they basically had a falling out, her and Zulawski. They needed to film a couple big scenes to complete the film, and Christmas had come, and she was going to go away for Christmas to like South Africa or something with her boyfriend or whatever, but they still had some scenes to shoot, some important ones, and he got really mad that she left because, you know, who knows, maybe something could have happened to her or whatever, and he was very angry about that, and he sent her for Christmas, she gave him like a teddy bear or something for Christmas, and he ended up like sticking pins in it or ripping it up or something, which pissed her off, and then she didn't bother coming to the premiere. So you had this complete falling out. It's kind of cool to hear about it in the interviews. But anyway, her performance is completely outrageous and out there, much like Isabella Gianni's performance and the woman in the first two films, First Part of the Night and The Devil. Just so fun to watch these hot women just have these intense and crazy performances, and that's no different in this one. She just gives a lot of people say she was kind of like somewhat blacklisted after this role. It's a shame because she would have been a fantastic actress. And again, their relationship kind of just is, you can tell it's going to end up being destructive. And two things I love most about this film is it's visually great, as it is with all his films, but I love the ending. Completely caught me off guard, and it's a true, to me, the film as a whole is not a horror film, but it has a very horror film type ending, which I just absolutely love. And the score to this film is awesome. And the great thing about these releases from Mono is that they come with the scores, the soundtracks, which I wish more films would do. And I absolutely love the score to this film. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, very sexually driven film, but it has its dark moments and has some black humor, and it's just a joy to watch. So yeah, highly recommend his films if you're trying to broaden your horror film. Like I said, these aren't all pure horror films, but they all have different, to me, horror elements. Horror doesn't always have to be so literal, and doesn't have to be like August Underground to be extreme. There's so many different ways to convey an extreme story, and that's what I'm trying to do with showing you guys some of these more artsy, obscure, abstract, bizarre type films. And he's a lot of metaphors in his films, where I know some people don't like to deal with that. They consider, like, I wouldn't consider it a high maintenance viewing. I personally love to think about a film well after it's over, when it stays with you. It's more cerebral. I like to try to figure out on my own what a particular scene meant or what the metaphor meant. But you can also just ignore that and just watch and take it all in and enjoy the ride. You don't have to, try to analyze it scene by scene and all that, because that could drive you crazy. But I personally love it. I think that gives these films high replay value to watch again. You pick up on some things, but they're just overall visceral experience, great films, and I highly recommend the films of Andrzej Zulawski. And one quote that I read that actually Isabella Gianni, the star of Possession, she was quoted as describing Zulawski's work, and I think this is perfect, as emotional pornography, which is, I think, perfect. His films they all have a theme. They hit you hard, and it's just visually stimulating and stays with you, stays in your head. And I think, and it's, as I said, it's so energetic. The performances, the way it's shot, from start to finish, there's so much energy and chaos in his films. It's just an absolute joy to watch, and I think emotional pornography is a great way to describe his work. So until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time on the Cinema Bazaar. Later. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Next month, we will all bask in October's superfluous glory. Love October. I'm sure a lot of you out there love the month as well. My favorite time of the year. And you will be have the pleasure of seeing this beautiful face more than usual next month. Instead of the normal one episode a month, as we did last year in season 1, you will get double the Horrors Ball, 2 episodes next month for October 1, which includes the Halloween special, which also happens to be the 25th episode of Horrors Ball. 25 episodes. How cool is that? It'll also be the Halloween special. So I will also have a film review for the Horror Happy Hour. So you'll see me quite a bit next month. You don't want to miss these episodes. It'll be great, and I can't wait. Got a lot of cool stuff planned, so don't miss those. Please don't miss. You don't want to miss them. Trust me. And got a lot going on. Been a busy time. Couple weeks actually. A Cinema Wasteland for all you convention goers. It's the party convention, as I call it. Money's so tight. I'm not even going into the actual convention. I'll be there for a day, but I'm just going to a hotel to party. So how cool is that? I'm not even going into the con itself. But hopefully, if you're there, come say hi to me. Hopefully, I'll see several of you there, and we can hang out or whatever. And it's going to be awesome. So we'll see you next month, guys. Thanks so much for watching. As always, scare yourself and each other. October is coming. A couple weeks. Peace.